And I talked to him and I said, Doctor, I really, I'm stopping. I'm going to go the natural way. And he actually, two or three times said, are you sure, Georges, you want to do this? Are you sure? I'm listening to all my relatives and doctors, my wife. I said, yes, I am sure, Dr. Fan, but I would appreciate it if you continue to do follow-ups with me.
Mm.
And he said, okay, let's do that. And if what you're doing it's not working, maybe there's something new approved by the FDA, so
Right.
we can do it. So we did that. And then I went on my journey.
I am Gloria Grace Rand, founder of The Love Method and author of the #1 Amazon bestseller, Live, Love, Engage: How to Stop Doubting Yourself and Start Being Yourself. In this podcast, we share practical advice from a spiritual perspective on how to live fully, love deeply, and engage authentically, so you can create a life and business with more impact, influence, and income. Welcome to Live, Love, Engage. Namaste. Are you ready to discover how your body's innate wisdom, combined with the incredible power of faith, can create genuine miracles in your life and business? Well, tune in and stay tuned, I should say, because I've got a transformative conversation coming up that's going to reveal how understanding your physical health, tapping into divine guidance, and serving others can unlock a level of healing and abundance you never thought possible. But first, I do want to welcome you to Live, Love, Engage, especially if this is your first time. I am Gloria Grace, founder of Align to Shine Academy, and I work with spiritually minded women entrepreneurs to help them break free from self-doubt and really step into their highest potential. And I'm really looking forward to this conversation today. Our guest is Georges Cordoba, and he is a 12-year cancer survivor and best-selling author of Beating the Odds, about his holistic journey to conquer advanced cancer. And he's also a holistic health and life coach, functional nutritionist, Reiki teacher, hypnotherapist, among other things. And his mission is to help people live their best lives. And I know that's what we're all about here on this program, is to, live fully. And so let's, without further ado, let me bring him on so we can start this conversation. So welcome, Coach Georges, to Live, Love, Engage.
Thank you. Thank you, Gloria, for inviting me. I'm honored to be in your show and share some interesting stuff that applies to everyone, whether you're rich or poor, and whatever your ethnicity. This disease, cancer, doesn't care. But I'm very excited to share with you.
Oh, well, I am too. And I thought we'd start out for talking about one of the things you say is that everyone has mountains to move on during their life journey, and yours, certainly your deepest mountain, was overcoming cancer by transitioning from conventional treatment. You did go down that route to a more holistic approach. So I thought we'd start by talking about what led you to make this significant shift, and what were the initial steps you took?
Yeah. I like to real quick, you have a better understanding of the answer to your question. I have to share with you guys, because your mindset is very important. But I have to share with you guys about my journey since I was a youngster, 4 years old. I'm half Greek, and my parents from my Greek family migrated after World War II to South America, Venezuela, which is where I'm from. And my father's family migrated to Venezuela from Madrid, Spain, to Venezuela, and the two families met there. But what I want to share is, on my Greek side of the family, when I looked at basically the landscape of my family, I really felt that I was going to be doomed, because at the age of 4, I saw my grandfather lose his life of cancer. Then maybe 6 or 7, uh, two, between the age of 6 and 10, two of my grandmother's sisters passed of cancer. Then my godfather, which was also a family from Greece that migrated to Venezuela, my mother's cousin, he was my godfather. He passed away from cancer. So far, you see the pattern. Later on, another family member, another brother of my grandfather, then my uncle, my
Mm,
mother's brother, at 55, died of cancer.
mm,
And 3 weeks before I was diagnosed, my mother, my dear mother, uh, passed of
mm,
cancer. So I grew up basically with the belief that cancer would take anybody's life.
mm,
And then here I am. I get diagnosed. At the time, uh, our five, our blessing, our 5 kids were very young, from
mm,
7 to 13, pair of twins that were 10 years old at the time, as well, and that created a lot more anxiety on me. But at the end of the day, after the emotional roller coaster that anybody uh, that has been diagnosed with cancer, we all go through the same thing. We're humans. The fear, the denial, angry. Why me? I'm a good person. I do great in the city. We go to church. We do stuff in missionary work. Why me? But when all that stuff went away, it took about a week. I I kind of sat down and I said, you know what? I'm going to be the first family member from my Greek side that survives this thing. And I
mm,
went on my journey. And
mm,
to get back to your question, um, I was the first thing, and this is important to know. As a hypnotherapist, I could tell you there's 13 rules of the mind. But
mm,
one of the rules of the mind is that the mind goes to what is familiar. And in the West, what is familiar when you get a chronic disease, let's say cancer, which is my experience, everybody goes to an oncologist. There's no question. Everybody just finds an oncology or looks for referrals and stuff. And then that's the first thing we do. We go to an oncologist, which, by the way, in many cases becomes your, let's say, your God, quote unquote. Right? Whatever they say, you do. You give all your power. We give all our power to this person, this man or woman.
mhm. Yeah.
And that's what I did. I mean, I have two doctors in my family. One is a medical doctor. They're married. One
Mm,
is my daughter's. They're both my daughter's godparents.
mm,
And Stefano, he's a surgeon, and down there in southeast Florida, um, in Miami. And so uh, when I started this thing, it was right away surgery. I had my first craniotomy because it showed up in the top of my skull, and they had to really get in there and take it out. And then right away, I went to the first treatment, let's say, period, 4 months, and which was really crazy. I couldn't really take it. They were trying interferon, which is something that really
mm,
worked for they had it for people with hepatitis, but it had so happened. Medicine is trial and error. They found out that this person also had melanoma, which is what I had,
mm,
and
mm,
he worked.
mm,
So I started 4 months into this. After one surgery, this treatment, the oh, and by the way, on my first craniotomy, actually, right away, something presented on on my right ear, and so they biopsy, and it was a positive lymph node. So they decided to do a something they call the uh, it's a sentinel biopsy, to see where this liquid would drain, and it was actually draining to my right. So they decided to open me up. That was my second surgery. By the way, I went through 10 years of surgeries, and
mm.
and
Wow.
yeah, and and 10 surgeries. Thank God for the surgeries, because it's not that I'm against medical, especially the neurosurgeon. He had to
Mhm.
break me 4 times, 5 times. The first one was not as bad, but so my second surgery, they removed 23 lymph nodes from my neck, from this side of my
Mm.
from the right
Wow.
side, the right neck. But there were three of those 23 that they could not get to.
Hmm.
So what happened there is that they had to sacrifice a muscle in my neck to take those three out, and they turned out to be the three that were positive.
Of
So
course.
that was good that they
Yeah.
were aggressive. It,
Mm.
to date, it's really uncomfortable sometimes when I shave and all this stuff. You
Mm.
know, years later. So so that was the pattern. To
Right.
answer your question, it was okay. Surgery, treatment, remission, quote unquote.
Mhm.
I don't like that word. And
Yeah.
then recurrence, surgery, treatment,
Mhm.
remission for
Right.
almost 8 years, Gloria.
Wow.
On
Mm.
year 8, that was I was going to go into my second and the largest craniotomy. It was from ear to ear in my front lobe, and so that went well. It was amazing. All of the stuff they say I could have in some cavities and stuff. I have a few cavities in my head, but not like they described it. And so we went through the surgery. It was successful. I think it was 8 or 10 hours, and so again, I agreed that they would do this radiotherapy in my head. They warned me that that could actually make actually the tumors uh, come up, some of the tumors, which
Yeah.
is what happened. I
Oh,
agreed.
man.
Yeah, I agreed to do 6 weeks of every day, of radiotherapy, and 3 months after that, uh, 8 more melanoma tumors appeared in my body. Two of them, Gloria, were not operable. And you talked
Mm.
a little bit about faith. We'll discuss that. So, but what happened is that they found this new chemo that could penetrate the brain, and they gave it
Mhm.
to me. Remember, I've been already 8 years in this loop,
Right.
and I was just getting tired of that.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And with my background, faith, and also being an athlete, a competitive tennis player, which is a
Mm.
different sport. You either win or lose. There's no tie. There's no group. We all
That's true.
lost. Going maybe
Right.
doubles. We both lost or win or won. But so so that helped me a lot, because I had this intuition in me. It started happening like for 8 months, and then this is not working for me. This is just, I mean, how am I going to live my life like this? How many surgeries? How many? And especially went to the brain. It couldn't get worse. And so they gave me these capsules. It was going to be the first time I would do chemo orally.
Mm.
And by the way, each capsule was $1,000.
Oh,
So
jeez.
yeah, and I was already on year 8. I mean, my
Yeah.
co-payments and all the stuff was exhausted. It was all from our pocket. It
Mm.
was a financial tsunami, by the way. And
Yeah.
so they gave me this stuff. It was I was supposed to take it Monday through Friday, one a day, take a break on weekend, and then Monday through Friday. On my second Monday, my sixth capsule, I really thought I was going to get a heart attack. It's just
Mm.
the reaction that I had was my heart was go. I don't even know, but I
Mhm.
could feel it,
Yeah.
and that was DC. Then all of a sudden, it's like if I was drugged up, I was like over the roof,
Mm.
feeling really terrible. And I was alone at that
Mm.
time. My wife was at work, and the kids were in school, and so I kind of calmed down, drank some water, played the piano. So I sat down there, and it didn't work. I was just so, I couldn't feel, my hands were shaking. So
Mm.
at that point, I said, enough. I'm not going
Yeah.
to do this anymore.
Yeah. I
And
know.
and then so I underestimated my relatives, doctors. My wife was and at the time, an ultrasound tech doing cardiovascular and obstetrics.
Mm.
And so when she got home, I said, "Look, Naomi, I'm not doing this anymore." "What do you mean?" "No, I'm not doing any more treatments.
Yeah.
I'm thinking I'm gonna go natural." I did a lot of nutrition for competition in tennis. I did a
Mhm.
minor. I actually took a minor in college. I
Mm.
studied computer science, but I did a minor for that to have an edge
Mhm.
when I was playing NCAA Division One tennis, or
Right.
I tried some pro tournaments. So that helped me a lot because I started to, at that moment, I said, you know what? You're not going to beat me. I said I was going to be the first, beat the odds in my family. And so she goes, no, that I don't agree. Let's call 𝙤𝙤𝙖𝙤𝙤 and let's go also Edward. These are all doctors that were with me. And they were scared, more scared than me, because they only know it's one thing. And so, we did a conference call, and my wife, it was all on Nima, on Naomi. And so, no, Georges, you got to keep going. Eventually you're going to beat it. You're a strong minded guy. And I told him, look, man, I know myself, this is not working for me. At least it's not working for me. I don't want to compare to anybody else, but it's not working for me. For you, it's easy to say. I've been going through this 8 years, almost 8 years, and 9 surgeries already, and 8 surgeries. And um, well, are you sure? No, no, no. And this, it's interesting because in the credits in my best-selling book, Beating the Odds, he comes up and says, "Man, Georges basically proved us all wrong." You know,
Mm.
that
Mhm.
there's something interesting there because doctors don't know. They're not psychologists. They're not nutritionists. This oncologists. They're
Mhm.
not massage therapists or acupuncture or meditation, nutrition. No.
Yeah.
So so they against them, because I knew it. I just knew, and I
Yeah.
wanted
Yeah.
to beat my toughest opponent, right? My steepest mountain that you mentioned. We
Mhm.
can talk about that in a second. So at that moment, I went to a chapel. I'm a to the church that we were going, and with my wife, because I wasn't feeling good. I said, "Drive me to church," and so we went to the chapel, and I just went to the front. I kneeled and I cried, maybe, I don't know, for 15 minutes. It was like a waterfall, but I could feel some healing in that. It's like whew, I was releasing so much, and I surrendered. I surrendered to the Lord. I said, "Look, these guys have been trying everything, but it's not working for me. So, you know, uh, give me discernment. I'm thinking of stopping and going the holistic route, and also, please give me some time. It's up to you, not the doctors, to see my daughter do her first communion. My kids all graduate from high school. The important stuff, and being a better father, a better husband, a better Christian. I was really involved with my kids in certain things in Miami, feeding the homeless from the church. It was a mystery, mystery, uh, a minister,
Right.
and a
Yes.
coach, uh,
Yeah.
and so we will
So.
go, and for them, that was more powerful than listening to the priest or the reverend
Mhm.
give us
Yeah.
a preaching or an homily. And um, so basically, I got up, and and Naomi says, uh, "So what are you going to do?" I mean, I said, "Look, I definitely going to stop." The next day, I went without an appointment to see my doctor in the Sylvester Cancer Center down there by Jackson Memorial. Amazing team, by the
Mhm.
way. And my oncologist, really amazing person. He's nurse practitioner, and I just basically said to the person in front, "Look, I need to talk to Christina, the nurse practitioner, It's very important. So could you ask her? So I waited like 5, 10 minutes, and she comes out, and I say, "Look, Christine, I need to talk to Dr. Fong because I'm not gonna do this anymore." "Oh, what? What? Okay, wait a minute.
Right.
So,
Right.
so
Okay.
they brought me in right away, and I talked to him, and I said, "Doctor, I really, I'm stopping. I'm gonna go the natural way." And he actually 2 or 3 times, "Are you sure, Georges, you want to do this? Are you sure?" I'm listening to all my relatives and doctors, my wife. I said, "Yes, I am sure, Dr. Fan, but I would appreciate if you continue to do follow-ups with me."
Mm.
And he said, "Okay, let's do that. And if what you're doing it's not working, maybe there's something new approved by the FDA, so
Right.
we can do it." So we did that, and then I went on my journey. Um,
Okay.
and so from the very moment that I surrender and I made finally this faithful decision to go there,
Mhm.
oh, sure, faith. If you look at the dictionary, faith is a certainty of what you want.
Mhm.
But you must understand that you have to take action. And when you do that, it's not a magic womb. So if you're certain that you're going to beat whatever you're going to realize, whatever you're looking for, and you take action, the universe, not to say God, but for me, God conspires. And in my book, I explain how many angels in the form of humans came to rescue, family members, employees, relatives, friends. It was amazing, and so I learned this was very important on my holistic journey, and this is part of what I do now with my clients. I basically applied everything I did when I went natural, but I studied about it. I became
Mm.
officially a functional nutritionist, like you said, a holistic health coach, and then I did a mastery of holistic transformational coaching. It was a holistic mastery with the same folks. Here there are Chicago and LA, San Francisco. If you don't mind, I can maybe say the name, but I'm not promoting. But it's the Health Coach Institute. That was like another something that really came from heaven. I was still a CTO, by the way, and that's another story. But I had no idea, and I underestimated how deeply it was going to affect my professional career and my leadership with my team. So
Mm.
anyway,
Okay.
that's the answer to your question.
Well, I appreciate it, and it's. I also want to just let you know too. I don't have a whole lot of time for the show, but I appreciate you sharing that. So I really want to get some more meat here. So from you to be able to help our listeners.
Mhm.
So. Um, you just mentioned actually, and I think I might even go there first, and then we'll kind of dive back into some other maybe holistic practices. But you said that you made this shift from you were a chief technology officer, I guess for those who may not know what a CTO is, right, to holistic health coach. And I was wondering, how can our listeners recognize when it's time for them maybe to pivot towards their true calling?
Great question. I believe that it's not as hard as it seems,
Mm.
but because we're constantly in a hurry, we in this rat race, in this routine. We may think about it when we're driving or at night. We might talk to our partners and talk about it, but we don't take a step. Getting out of the comfort zone. And so, one of the best things to do, it's really to look at your answer this question: what happens if you won the lottery? And many people, and I do this sometimes, as if it comes in my protocol, it's a 90-day 12 session protocol. I say, look, if you win the lottery, what would you do? Because see, when you are sick, um, I ask people, are you going to be back to doing what you were doing? And most of them say, no, no way, but I don't know what it is. It's usually aligned with your talents. All of us have talent, and we love to do some things. For example, myself as a kid, I love to say that I tell stories to my friends. Sometimes I will make it up, but I will make them up. But they would like, oh my God, and then helping people. We would go, and
Mhm.
we did have. I grew up with ball boys. There were poor kids that would go
Mhm.
to the club and be ball boys for the adults. But sometimes when we were playing tournaments, there will be our ball boys, and they were pretty much the same age of us. So we would get an allowance, a daily allowance to be in the club, and that would convince my friends to get the change from the snacks and go to where they were gathering, and we will give them the money, stuff like that. But it's always aligned to your talents,
Mhm.
and it is not as hard. Like I say, faith is the
Mhm.
certainty of what you want. Take
Mhm.
that step, okay, and no fear. If you are good at something, and you land a job doing what you love, you may be making $2 or $200 or 200,000, but you don't care. You're happy.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And it is. I like that you emphasize that just taking a step, because yeah, so often we do let fear, keep us from doing that. But when you do make that step, that's where growth comes. So if you can, you know,
absolutely.
do that, and it doesn't have to be, it's not like if you're, working a job, you're going to like totally quit tomorrow and do
Mhm.
something else, but you could start exploring, do research
Right.
at night,
And do a plan. See,
Yeah,
people don't plan to fail. They fail to plan.
right.
It's like, oh, might take a year. Yeah, but that year is going to come anyway. So you might as well start planning that transition. And boy, you hit an amazing question. There's so many people. We do some hospice as a volunteers, my wife and I, especially when we were in Miami with the Kindred Hospice. And
Mm,
boy, if you ask questions there, the common denominator is, oh, if I had 20 years of me, I'll do the things that I really wanted to do.
mm,
And that's really sad. You know,
yeah.
it's sad to go and not really fulfilling what your purpose was. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's it, and that's the other thing too, is that I know sometimes, as we get older, sometimes we think that, oh, it's too late to do stuff. But if you go Google, you can see how there's like story upon story of entrepreneurs or authors or people who started in their 50s, and 50 or 60s or even
Yeah.
even later, so it's never too late. As long as you're
No.
breathing, you can do it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And
Yeah.
I made my transition at 57. That's
Mm,
another thing where people were saying, "Man, you comfortable?" Well, not so comfortable. I lost a
right.
lot of money with this disease, and
Yeah.
but yeah, in that in my book, I say that when I look back and I see my survival experience as a blessing, because God gave me the chance to sing the song I was born to sing, which is
Mm,
helping people, giving them hope, and just
yeah.
letting people know that there's other options. Although in 7.5 years coaching, um, only 3 people have gone 100% away
Mm,
from the conventional stuff.
mm.
However, the other ones, the doctors see so much improvement that they reduce the chemo and stuff like that.
Oh, that's
And
good.
yeah, and if I'm not sure how we're doing with time. If you have any other question, but I like to share with you guys that two things.
Mm,
One as a therapist, and one as a nutritional coach, nutritionist, functional nutritionist. All disease, my friends, and there's going to be something in my giveaway that has a lot to do with what I'm going to say. But all disease, chronic diseases, including cancer, start in an acidic body, in an inflamed body. And
mm,
we do that to ourselves. Our dieting, our stress produces cortisol, stuff like that. And so that's a key tip, because if you start working on basically alkalining your inside, disease cannot grow
mm.
in a pH balance. So in my case, I already had it, but I was destroying the environment. The environment of disease is acidic. So if you may balance yourself back to a balanced pH, you don't want to go too alkaline. It's not like in a pool. If you don't put enough chlorine in the water, it becomes green, and it's also bad. On the other hand, if you put too much chlorine, it gets too acidic, and it's very dangerous to swim, for your eyes, for your skin, your breathing. So that's one thing. And the other one, and this is very important. I mean, I've been studying a lot. I don't stop learning, and I go to conferences as a speaker, and I meet amazing folks. By the way, there's 8 million Georges out there in the United States that went natural and survived, and they're striving. It's not like recurrences, but recurrences will continue to happen, Gloria, until you find the root cause of your disease. And it's usually, listen to this, my friends, it's usually emotional. All disease are in chronic, chronic inflammation, but also are emotional. In my case, when I was already on my holistic journey, I started to read a lot of stuff. And one of my angels, an employee, gave me a book on emotional intelligence. And in that book, they mention about the healing power of forgiveness. So I humbled myself, and I went and approached some people. One had passed away, but the other three, and I forgave them. And guess what? They didn't even remember, Gloria. I was carrying this poison all my life. I was 54 at the time,
Yep.
and but I released so much weight out of that. And
Oh,
then I
yeah.
went and asked for forgiveness. I made some mistakes in college, with girlfriends and things, and so one remember, the other ones neither. But I still say, look, I am so sorry.
Mhm.
And then the toughest one, but I did it, forgiving myself.
Yes. Yeah.
When Yeah, and when I did that, Gloria, guess what? I did not get any more recurrences.
Oh, I 100% believe you and 100% agree with you about the importance of the emotional. So I lost a sister to cancer, and we did not have any history of cancer in our family. And she was healthy. She was a massage therapist, and then all of a sudden she started having this pain in her psoas muscle, and and then it turned out to be cancer, and it was pretty aggressive. And I wish I'd known you then, 5 years ago or 7 years ago now, however long it is, because in looking back, and kind of looking at her life now, and going, she dealt with depression a lot in her life, and we both grew up with an alcoholic parent, which is a challenge, and so there was a lot of there's other things I think that she was going through, and I can see that. Yeah, probably the forgiveness thing. I think she held on to a lot of stuff
Yeah,
that I think,
stress, all the stuff.
yeah,
Yeah,
that
and
doesn't help.
it's interesting what you said. These diseases, especially cancer, is not hereditary.
Right.
They
Yeah.
found out it's only like 1%, one of maybe,
Ah.
yeah. And it's what is it? Hereditary is your lifestyle, your
Mm.
dieting, yeah,
Yeah.
the way
Right.
you are. Like Greeks, you think they're fighting and they're just talking, but they're so intense, and yeah. And so, yeah, it's
Mm.
very interesting. You're gonna get some good things in this giveaway. I'll give you the link so later on,
Okay.
and
Well,
and then you have the mind and the spirituality. It's There's four legs of the table of a holistic
right.
being.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. So let me ask you one, because we're I still want to talk a little bit, even though I do want to wind it up soon. But I would like to ask you one other thing, because you do have all these different modalities that you engage in, these different holistic modalities, and I'm wondering, how can our listeners start, like, maybe implementing something like that into their daily routine without feeling overwhelmed?
Wow, great question. You're a great host. Uh, I commend you for that. Yes. What I'm going to say, it's going to sound to you very simple, but it's not easy because it's a matter of changing some habits and ridding of some beliefs that don't no longer serve you. In fact, they're probably hurting you.
Mm,
But the best thing to do is understand that uh, time is a non-renewable resource.
mm,
This conversation is gone, and tomorrow is a new day. We're living in the present moment. And when I mention about the hospice, don't get to that. Nobody's putting a gun in your head to do what you're doing today. If you find, if you're honest to yourself and you're not having any time for your self nourishment, you are in the list of one of two men being inflicted with cancer in their lifetime, and one or three women being. This is according to the National Cancer Institute and the
mm,
American Cancer Society. But not only that, today, and I'll get back to that answer. Today, almost 50% of our nation has one or two chronic diseases,
mm,
and 60% of us are way overweight.
mm,
33% of those 66% are obese. I did these numbers back in September because I went to do a talk in Toronto, Ontario, and they asked me to do the state of health in Canada, and I
mm,
took advantage and I did the US. So these are recent numbers.
mm.
And if we don't change our ways, by 2030, which is around the corner, half of women and half of men will be obese in the United States. So we're not a healthy country. And I just hope that somehow, the powers that be realize this and changes, because I make changes. I've seen first ladies trying to make some changes, even a president, and they get shut down. I mean, there's some power up there with pharmas or whatever it is, that do not allow that. It almost seems that they want us to get sick, so that
Mhm.
industry keeps going. But
Yeah.
here's the main thing, and because of your question, I am going to offer something that is
Okay.
completely free. I'm going to give my time to four people because I'm booked pretty much. But four of your listeners, if they reach me out, I will give them a roadmap to their better health that they
Mm,
can continue. Now they're taking advantage of this and New Year's resolutions and stuff. They could keep going and do it. But one important thing is giving time for yourself. You love yourself first.
mm,
Learn how to meditate, and I have that. It'll be part of that. Find there's It's just very important to start your day or finish your day. For me, it's better in the morning to nourish yourself. Take
mhm,
10 minutes in the beginning. It's a habit thing to breathe, to be quiet, and just whenever you're thinking of something, focus on your breathing again, because the mind goes. We all think 60,000 thoughts a day. Just try that. Once you really get to the point that you get only two or three in 10 minutes, you're doing well. Then maybe
mhm.
you could journal for 2 minutes, and it's a process. And later on, you want more time. Oh,
Right.
I
Yeah.
want to go from 20 to 25.
Yeah.
And it is so important because guess what? We cannot love. How can you expect to love somebody else when you don't love yourself first? It's not narcissism. It's acknowledge yourself and know that you have a responsibility. You're like a steward of your body. Without this body, we're not here. So you might as well take care of it as much as you want. And if you're struggling, with different things, and you're gonna see a lot of this in my giveaway. But I offer for the first four that maybe come and want to do a clarity call, uh, for complimentary. I'll go ahead and do a roadmap to your health, and it's 90 days, but that's beyond. In 90
Mhm,
days, you by that time you have changed some habits. And if you
mhm.
have questions, you can write me an email or whatever. But
Yeah.
it is very important. It's very
Mm,
important to nourish yourself.
yeah. All right. Well, why don't we get to how can people take advantage of your generosity here? So how can they do that?
Yeah, they can go to my website. You
Okay.
had the link there.
Yeah.
And one of the there's an ebook there, by the way, about the balanced pH and your health. I wrote that one as well, and it's not long, so I know people don't have time to read, but it's so key to understand what the acidity does in your body. There's some good acidity with, like, when you get a deep tissue massage, you are getting releasing releasing
Mhm.
acidity from your tissues and stuff, muscles. But then you drink water, and you, if you work, basically walk.
Mhm.
By the way, we're designed to be active, not to be sitting down. So
Yes, it's true.
you're gonna get that stuff out through your urine, your sweat,
Mhm.
and
Right.
that's good acidity. But
Yeah.
from the food, it's crazy. If we have more time, and explain the process of digestion, which was my specialty,
Mm.
and how we get ourselves sick.
Yeah.
So, but for now, they can go in there. They opt into for this
Okay.
little for this book, and there's an intake form that is
Okay.
going to come automatically. They can fill it up, and then schedule an appointment.
Mhm.
It's an hour thing there, but it's really usually about 30 minutes
Mm.
that we go through it. And for the first fourth, we'll do. I'm going to combine my first two sessions of my protocol,
Oh,
of my
okay.
program.
Oh, wonderful. All right. Well, that's amazing. And yeah, we could, I think, probably talk for about 2 hours. I have a feeling with
Yeah.
someone. So maybe I'll just have to have you back again. Maybe at
Oh,
the end of the
I'll
year
be
or something like
flattered.
that. Yeah.
And look up in your notes, people, folks, just look out for the giveaway. It has some forgiveness meditations, one for women, one for
Mm,
men. They're
mm,
recorded.
yeah.
It has the 13 rules of the mind, which is, if you put it into practice. But again, it takes action. It's not
Mhm.
theory. And that's really what my program is all about. We do a session, but you have homework for the week. And then you do the next one. By the time you go into 1 month, there's some belief, some habits that they're gone.
Mhm. Oh, yeah.
If you want to put a new couch in your living room, you have to get rid of the old one. And that's what we would do. We do some work like that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, and I can attest to that because I've been on my own health journey over the last few months, and so if anyone
Good.
is a regular subscriber, you've probably noticed that my face has gotten a little thinner because
Nice.
I've released about 26 pounds or so far over the last 3 months. But and I've been doing it by eating good food. I mean, I'm mostly cooking everything. I rarely go out to
Awesome.
eat, and because yeah, I've learned that yeah, we mentioned, the pharmaceutical industry, and I think also the food industry
The food.
is really trying to, they put sugar into everything, and so they're making us overeat, which then leads to these diseases, which then
Yeah.
has you seeking
Yes.
pharmaceutical health when
Absolutely.
natural way, like you talk about,
Yes.
is a
And
much
and, and
better way
there's
to
with
go.
this last tip that I
Yes.
want to give to all of you.
All right.
As
Excellent.
as a nutritionist, I have to share this. In terms of nutrition and digestion, 25% is what you eat, and
Mm,
75% is who you are when you're eating. Are you stressed out when you eat? Do you eat only in
mm,
10 minutes? Do you chew 6 times, which is the average chewing time for the
mm,
US, when you're supposed to be chewing 20, 25 times? Six chews, and then you swallow. So the stomach does not know what to do with that. Is this beautiful system is not designed for that.
mm,
The stomach sends this stuff to fat. In time, it becomes acidic, and there you go. And if you do that 3 times a day, imagine in 2 years, 3 years, 20 years, the body gives out. Not only that, because you didn't chew. See, digestion starts in your mouth. You have to chew so your saliva enzymes start to process the food. And then once you're done, you swallow processed stuff. And then the stomach knows, okay, this is processed. Let me do my jaws and to the small intestine, and then so forth. Because that didn't happen. 30 minutes later, you're hungry again. And because your body said, man, I don't have the nutrients I need. And therefore, you do repeat that, and all of a sudden, you're 20, 30 pounds over.
mm.
Uh, you're a walking a wonky bomb for some disease, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Thank you for reminding me of that because I did learn that a couple years ago, but I forgot. I've gotten back to the old habits, so I will thank you for that reminder. I'm going to do better when I fix dinner tonight. I'm going to have some salmon. I will make sure that I do my chewing.
Slow
So I
down. Yes.
appreciate that. Good,
There,
good.
there is a in the giveaway. There is a document explaining all that, how to chew and stuff like that. So
Oh, excellent. All right. Well, thank you so much. I really
thank you.
appreciate it. I know our listeners and viewers on YouTube have gotten a lot of value out of this today. And I so appreciate you spending time with us. And I really encourage everyone out there to take advantage of your generous offer. At the very least, get the freebie, and you're going to get a lot of good information from
Yeah,
there, I'm
and
sure.
the giveaway has a lot of stuff in
Yeah.
the, it's for you,
Yeah.
guys to really read it and act on it. And you don't need to diet. You don't need to do any of that stuff. You'll see.
Absolutely.
Anyway, thank you for inviting me too, Gloria.
All right. Well, thank
Appreciate it.
you. And I do want to thank all of you. I do want to thank all of you for watching and for listening today. And I do hope that you have received value. And if you're not subscribed to the show, I hope you will do that on your favorite podcast platform or subscribe on YouTube, because you'll see the little link right up here. And until next time, I encourage you to go out and live fully, love deeply, and engage authentically.